Hey everyone, and welcome back to the 1v1 series, a series where we pit two DBD killers against one another based on stats and our 6 categories: strength, agility, stealth, power, resistance, and intelligence, to decide which one would come out victorious. Strength is an assessment of the killer's physical strength, agility is an assessment of how quickly they can move and strike their weapon, stealth is how stealthy they are, power is how effective or strong their power is, resistance is their ability to resist incoming direct attacks, and intelligence is an assessment of how smart or resourceful they are. With these scores and my own reasoning for each of the numbers, we will decide who I think would likely win in a 1v1 fight. I'm going to try and be as objective as possible and be without any bias. If you didn't know, this series is becoming a bit of a tournament. Here's the table so far for the first elimination round. The goal of this series being a search for the strongest killer in the game. Today we are seeing who would win in a 1v1 fight, the clown or the doctor. Let's get into it. Our first category is strength. Let's start with clown, I think, as on first appearance he doesn't look too strong. He's quite a large guy, the clown, and his arms or upper body are more fat than they are muscle, it seems. Looking at his power too, we can maybe see some strength, however, in his ability to basically mortar his bottles down onto people. He can toss them far and high. Now, that may not sound that impressive, but if you've ever carried bottles of water before, at least quite a few at once, then you'll know liquid can be quite heavy. Clown holds 5 of these sizable bottles on him at all times too. With all this in mind, I want to give Clown a 7, because I think the combination of his weight, plus his seemingly good strength from his throwing arms and ability to carry a decent weight, puts him above average, but not quite in the upper tiers of strength. Okay, so on to Doctor. Doctor first off doesn't really have much indication of strength, as he doesn't carry anything particularly heavy. He has maybe a fairly heavy metal bat, but aside that he simply wears a lab coat. If you look at his physical build though, he looks to have quite strong arms and a generally physically capable build. So he's going to get a 6. So not quite as strong as Clown, and honestly I think this is just because Clown is going to have more weight and therefore be capable of overpowering Doctor, especially given his slightly higher and wider stature. Okay, so on to agility next. I think we can pretty comfortably say that Clown does not have good agility. I believe his movement speed is normal. This doesn't mean too much though, as he's clearly quite a heavy and lumbering guy. I don't want to completely obliterate his score however, as we can see he does have some quick and capable movement in the way he controls his weapon. When he gets a hit, he spins it around quite skillfully, which indicates some agility for sure. So although I think there is too much evidence to say this guy wouldn't be agile, he's only going to score just below average at 4, seeing as he does have agile movements within his hands, if not elsewhere. Now, Doctor for agility is a strange one in my opinion, and again, I don't really know what to base his score off of here. Other than that, again, he's a relatively regularly built guy. I think I should mention that the way he swings his weapon is quite slow and clumsy, I almost want to say. He just full on swings it. He doesn't really try and do it with precision, say like Myers does in tier 3. So I feel like he lacks again here in his bludgeoning and quite slow blows he tries to land. We should also note that because of his electricity that is flowing through him, he often twitches and jolts suddenly in different ways. Again, maybe suggesting a lack of flexibility and agility in these areas. He can't dodge an attack if he's twitching, it could throw him off. However, he is still much smaller and definitely more in shape than the clown, meaning he is still higher relative to him and therefore he gets a 6, above average but reduced by his twitches and poor weapon swings. Stealth is next, and for this we're going to cover the both of them at once because, well, the issue with both of our characters here and stealth is that the two of them are constantly laughing, which immediately plummets their scores. However, for the means of being interesting, let's look at this a bit more. Clown has some minimal stealth in that he can be out of range for you to hear a terror radius, but still toss a bottle and have it land on you and then attack. So his score will get bumped up slightly, and so we're placing him at 4. Doctor, on the other hand, relative to Clown, is actually slightly better, I think. So he's getting a 6. He gets this because once Doctor has made survivors go crazy, he does get a decent amount of stealth in that they see projections as well as him. They also get a fake terror radius and a red light, all of which can be disorienting and make it hard to know the direction of the Doctor's next attack. So 6. The laughing really kills these scores though. Okay, so now on to power. I do actually want to rank these together again, as both of these killers have fairly similar powers in that both disorient the person in which they inflict. Clown does have an immediate hit on his power because his power is simply a bottle. It's just a thing. It doesn't have anything supernatural about it or particularly advanced. It's simply just a concoction that the clown has made. The Doctor, on the other hand, has created his own form of electroshock therapy, where he can basically shoot electricity from his fingertips. The effects of these two powers are quite similar though, and the only reason why Clown even comes close to Doctor's power is because his bottles slow people down and restrict movement, which is going to be pretty useful in a 1v1, whereas Doctor just makes you go crazy and hallucinate, although to quite the extreme. For this, Clown is getting a 7, and relative to Clown, Doctor is getting an 8. Just a little higher, as he doesn't have the restriction of needing to reload, nor does he rely on a physical item to be thrown in order to use his power. Onto resistance. Clown is questionable, to say the least, in terms of his resistance, and I'd like to think he actually gets a decent score here, simply for the fact that if someone was to try and swing at him, then his fat would absorb the blow before taking too much damage. With that said, and it's not much, he doesn't have any armor or anything like that, he just has his regular clown clothes. Not really any protection anywhere, so I'm giving him a 6. While he can resist some attacks due to his extra weight, he doesn't have enough protection to do it all that effectively. Doctor, on the other hand, I think seems quite resistant. If we look at the fact that he has wires and electricity coursing through him, this is pretty good evidence for him being quite resistant. He has so much, in fact, that he is capable of overcharging a generator, which is quite a bit. However, this is his power, so we don't know how resistant he is to other things, and again, like Clown, he doesn't have anything to indicate protection. He's just wearing a lab coat or a suit kind of. So I think we actually give him the same here, a 6. Just for the reasons mainly of lack of protection, that he gets a bump due to his electric resistance. Okay, now for intelligence. We're going to be giving Clown a 7. Now, although it says in the lore that he wasn't very academic, he does show, however, that he is quite resourceful and capable of surviving alone. He also shows ingenuity through his creation of different concoctions made from anesthetics and muscle relaxants, his best being the Afterpeace tonic. For Doctor, well, as the name suggests, he is a doctor, and at that from the lore we learn that he was exceedingly intelligent and was part of Yale's neuroscience program, and also worked for the CIA, and then finally going on to master his power, which is shock therapy. So I think a 10 for this one. He's clearly both a smart and resourceful guy. Unfortunately, he's also pretty evil. So this brings the final scores to 35 to Clown and 42 to Doctor. So yep, Doctor wins. This means he will be moving on to the next round and fighting against last week's winner in the second heat. Alright, and now it's time for the description of the fight. It's silent in the halls of Larry's Memorial Institute, aside from the light crackle of sparks and the static of old TVs. The Clown has found himself here, a place unfamiliar to him. Nevertheless, he smiles, glancing at the screens that hang from the ceiling, recordings of the Doctor's work. He begins to think, I'm not so different from this guy. A crackling surge of electricity suddenly pricks his ears. The Clown turns to where the sound had come from, spinning out his blade and lifting a bottle of his tonic, prepared to throw. A cackle comes from behind the wall he faces, followed by a rush of electricity that spreads across the floor before it connects with the Clown's body. The shock jumps him, his bottle flying from his fist and bursting at his feet. A thick pink cloud begins to rise around him, and he joins in with the laughter. Although he's resistant, the cloud still dims his senses, but he sees him. It's the Doctor, standing coldly within his pink mist. Before the Doctor can react, the Clown thrusts his blade towards him, puncturing right through his heart, and he's gone. The Clown stares at where the Doctor should be, confused. The Afterpeace had never done this to him before. What was happening? Before he could think further, the laugh began again behind him, a bat flying down as he turned, slamming into his chest. It wasn't enough to topple him though. Despite the pain, the Clown gripped another bottle, smashing it directly into the Doctor's laughing face. The Doctor toppled back, his movement slowed. The Clown charged him, pinning him down onto the ground, his weight making the Doctor incapable of moving. The Clown could finish this now. The Doctor was down, out of it. Fingers first, the Clown decided, gripping the Doctor's hand and slicing off a pinky, which he added promptly to his collection. The Doctor suddenly sprung into action, his power overcharging, rippling through him. He lifted both hands and pressed them against the temples of the Clown's head, letting an endless wave of electricity out, shocking him until the heavy weight of the Clown finally dropped, crumpling onto the Doctor. It was done. Okay, that's gonna do it for today. I do hope you enjoyed. Thanks, and goodbye.